When thinking about a human life, we often think of a forest of trees, not a desert. Mind you, when you think of a desert, you immediately think of heat. Scorching, blistering heat, hot enough to see mirages. Like a lake of water amidst the dunes, hot enough that even a camel looks depressed from the sun. But there's a twist not even AI might know. Deserts can be freezing cold at night, cold enough for water to freeze, needing a blanket like the middle of winter, and you'd want to cuddle a camel to stay warm. And the weird thing is, this happens almost every night in many places on Earth. So how can a place both bake you during the day and make you shiver at night? The answer lies in some strange physics tricks unique to deserts. First, what is a desert? It sounds counterintuitive, but a desert isn't just a place that's blisteringly hot. It's simply a place that's dry, as long as annual rainfall is below 250 millimeters. That's less than a bottle of water per square meter per year. It qualifies as a desert, no matter how cold it gets. That's why Antarctica or Greenland, places covered in ice and snow year-round, are still called deserts. Sounds odd, but it's logical. Because the common thread between the Sahara and Antarctica isn't the heat or the cold, but the lack of moisture. And you know what? Moisture is great at holding heat. Water vapor in the air acts like a thin blanket wrapped around the earth, helping to retain some warmth after sunset. But deserts are bone dry, with no blanket at all. So during the day, the sun scorches with no mercy. And at night, the heat escapes into the sky. The air cools rapidly, and you go from being roasted to being chilled in just a few hours. During the day, deserts are brutally hot. Well, the sun beats down directly onto the ground with nothing to block clouds, no humidity, no such thing as a protective layer against sunlight. The sun just pounds straight onto the sand. The problem is, sand is terrible at holding heat. It heats up super fast but cools down just as quickly, like a top student who lacks stamina. So during the day, the ground can get hotter than 50 degrees, hot enough to fry an egg, bake bread, or burn your feet if you're foolish enough to walk barefoot. But then the sun sets, and everything changes. As soon as the light fades, the desert starts releasing heat into space. With no water vapor or clouds to hold any moisture, the temperature plummets uncontrollably. This phenomenon is called radiative cooling. Sounds fancy, but it just means when the sun's gone, it gets freezing cold in places like the Gobi Desert or Atacama in Chile. In the morning, you might have breakfast in shorts under blazing sun. But at night, you'll need a sleeping bag, with wind feeling like you're wrapped in a fridge. Some places have temperature swings between day and night of 30 to 40 degrees, from scorching hot to lips turning purple cold in less than 12 hours. So where does the heat go? It doesn't go anywhere. It vanishes into the cold void out there. The hot ground during the day starts emitting infrared rays, but there's nothing to hold it back. No clouds, no water vapor. And the result is cold sweeping in, not because of the wind, but because the universe is so empty. It's a cold that's odorless, silent, but creeps into every crevice of your hands and feet, like you're standing in a giant freezer with no escape. For easy comparison, the Sahara Desert during the day burns your skin with ground hotter than the surface of Venus, reaching up to 50 degrees. But as soon as the sun sets, temperatures can drop to 10 degrees, or even below zero in winter. You're basking in the sun one moment, and before you can rinse off, you're lighting a fire to keep warm. The Atacama Desert in Chile, one of the driest places on Earth, and also one with the most extreme temperature swings. Gorgeous sunny days, but nights so cold you'd cry, only missing sad Korean drama music to complete the scene. The Mojave Desert in the US. One afternoon you're sweating buckets, and by night, you're wrapped in scarves and coats, sitting by a glowing fire, shivering like you're in Dalat in December. In other words, deserts don't just test people, they rob you of comfort too. Sounds harsh, but it depends on the moment. If you forget a jacket while camping in the desert, my condolences to you. Kangaroo rats are masters at dodging daytime heat. They don't foolishly scamper around. They stay cool in burrows underground, waiting for night to come out and forage. Their burrows aren't simple either. dug deep enough to insulate, keeping warm at night and cool during the day, just like desert snakes that burrow. At night, when it's cold, they slither into the sand, under layers of earth that hold heat like an invisible blanket. Scorpions, don't get me started. They move slowly, metabolizing like someone on a diet. They live so frugally they barely breathe, moving little to conserve water and energy. Even desert beetles are clever. Their bodies are designed to collect nighttime dew from the dry air, staying hydrated and preventing heat loss. And desert foxes, with their oversized ears, aren't just for listening but for cooling, like radiator fins. During the day, heat is channeled to the ears to dissipate. At night, they tuck their ears and retreat to like wrapping up in a blanket. Pretty awesome, What about plants? They don't just sit there taking the beating. Cacti are survival experts in the desert, storing water in their bodies, like biological thermos bottles. Most desert plants have a waxy coating or fine hairs covering them, preventing water evaporation during the day and keeping warm at night. Some plants shut down all activity, living at night, like hitting the pause button. Photosynthesis. Let's do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. And so, every breath, every drop of water is calculated meticulously, like a life lived in extreme minimalism, like the Japanese way. At its most simplified, humans don't lag behind either. Since ancient times, we've lived in tribes and learned how to cope with the desert's nighttime cold. They built tents from thick fabric to retain warmth, made adobe houses from clay, houses that absorb heat during the day and release it slowly at night, like a natural thermos. Desert dwellers wear loose, layered clothing, not for fashion, mind you, but to combat the searing heat of day and the biting cold of night. Even today, engineers in Dubai or Arizona still apply these ancient tricks to modern technology. Houses with insulation, windows that change color with walls designed to absorb and regulate heat. In short, deserts teach us a clear lesson. To survive, you must work with nature, not fight against it. And did you know, Mars is basically a super desert with extremely thin air that barely holds heat. During the day, it can reach about 20 C at the equator. Sounds warm, but it's a fake warmth. Because as soon as sunset hits, temperatures plummet to hundreds of degrees below zero, like pants falling off. That's why NASA scientists often choose deserts like Atacama in Chile to test robots and exploration equipment, or simulate Mars missions. Because Atacama is super dry, super cold at night, and has rocky terrain just like Mars, only missing low gravity and aliens. Romantically speaking, deserts are where Earth practices being another planet, a harsh gym for those dreaming of space travel. And if you survive a night in the desert and still find life beautiful, then congratulations, you've got the makings of a space explorer. But the story doesn't end there. Climate change is quietly making desert nights less cold. Sounds like good news, less freezing, better sleep. But no, it's actually a bad sign. Because many desert plants need cold nights to trigger flowering mechanisms. Many animals also need low temperatures to start reproduction, metabolism, or to come out of burrows to feed. When the cold disappears, the entire ecosystem's biological rhythm gets thrown off, not to mention artificial light from expanding desert cities, like Las Vegas or Dubai, is erasing the darkness that's characteristic of these regions. Add to that the heat from concrete, cars, and cities are like blankets for deserts, trapping heat and disrupting natural rhythms. Deserts, once wild and cold, are slowly becoming lands of constant heat and light around the clock, where it's no longer easy to distinguish what's truly natural from what humans have created. Once again, deserts become a test, this time to see if humans can live in harmony with nature or keep turning up the heat, flipping on lights, and breaking every rule. This planet once relied on to survive. If you've ever camped in a desert, you'll understand one thing: when the desert isn't dead, it just quiets down, like it's breathing softly. Sit still for a moment, and you'll hear the wind slipping through the rocks, the sound of insects scuttling somewhere under the sand, and above, a sky so bright it feels like you're floating in the middle of a galaxy.